Well, come on down, Mr. Khan, your time is up. Let's begin. The article says that a legal challenge against the Mayor of London, Sadig Khan's plans to expand the capital's ultra-low emission zone, Ulez, will begin at the High Court later today. 5 councils, which are Bexley, Bromley, Harrow, Hillingdon and Surrey County Council, launched legal action over the proposed extension to cover the whole of London from next month. And if it goes ahead, Ulez will see drivers in out of London pay a £12.50 daily fee from August the 29th if their vehicles do not meet the required emission standards. And those opposed argue the scheme imposes an unfair financial burden on people already struggling with soaring living costs, while of course the difference to air quality will be negligible. I can never say that word. The zone currently covers all parts of London between the North and South Circular roads, and if the extension goes ahead, the new borders will reach Buckinghamshire, Essex, Hertfordshire, Kent and Surrey. Mr. Khan has previously pointed to research showing the introduction of the scheme in 2019 caused nitrogen dioxide levels to fall by nearly half in central London and had overall backed an extension. The independent assessment confirms that Ulez works and the expansion will lead to 5 million more Londoners breathing cleaner air, and of course paying for it in my opinion. But anyway, the mayor told Reuters in an interview the 5 Conservative-led councils launched legal action in February, stating there were 5 grounds for a judicial review. They believe relevant statutory requirements were not complied with, expected compliance rates in outer London were not considered, and a proposed scrappage scheme was not consulted on. The High Court, though, has only allowed the case to proceed on 2 grounds: the legal basis for the scheme and scrappage. A spokesman for the mayor said at the time, "The mayor is pleased to see the court has refused permission for the majority of the grounds." Yeah, I bet he is. "We will continue to robustly defend his life-saving decision to expand Ulez and continue with preparations without delay." So hang on a minute, let me just get this straight. With what is presumably a teeny-weeny difference in air quality on the outer London, because let's face it, it's not inner London, is it, where all the cars seem to go, that presumably what they're saying is 5 million people will now have their lives saved by this decision. Personally, I think I've only heard more bullcrap come out of Keir Starmer's mouth, but this takes the biscuit in my opinion. And yes, of course, while admittedly it is nicer to have cleaner air, I don't think people will really want to pay £12.50 a day for the privilege. I mean, I certainly wouldn't. And whilst I am not in London, it does make me wonder how soon my council will think, that's a good idea. That's getting them money all the time, so if we do a similar thing, then we could have a lot more money rolling in. And of course, the only way you're going to get out of that is to buy a fairly new style car, I'm guessing, or if they raise the limits over time, could it then become a move to force us to go on to EVs, which presumably will be the only vehicles exempted at some point? I hope that isn't the case, but to be honest, something tells me that is, especially if they want to go ahead with the 2030 deadline. Well, of course, the only cars sold aren't actually allowed to be petrol or diesel, unless they're hybrids, of course, which apparently have a 2035 deadline. But either way, call me a cynic if you like, but it does also make me wonder if another reason for this is because with all that money presumably rolling in, it does make me wonder if Sadig Khan might not need to go to number 10 with his begging bowl whenever he has a problem with the London Underground or Transport for London or whatever. But of course, don't worry, because we have heard recently about a whopping 6p per mile charge that they're presumably thinking of rolling out instead of all this Ulez or environmental woke crap, which apparently even EVs will be subject to. And what the worrying thing is, though, that all the vehicles that you will have to pay the £12.50 daily fee for are more than likely going to be slightly older vehicles. So in that case, that presumably means there'll be the worse off people out there who are going to have to cough up this daily fee. Because let's face it, if you can't afford to buy a new car exempt from the fee, then what other option do you have? Oh, I know. He's going to say, oh, hang on, my public transport is here. For a small fee, you can take the bus to London or the tube. Which makes me wonder, could that also be his other plan? Increase in support for his Transport for London network. And then, of course, kind of comes across as one big money grab, which is going to hit the poorest the hardest, isn't it? Whilst all the rich people out there who can afford to wipe their bums on £10 notes can just drive around in their petrol or diesel guzzling vehicles, whilst, let's face it, Sadig Khan appears to say is harmful to the environment or whatever else he says, but then strangely continues, from what I've heard, to drive around in his Range Rover, which isn't exactly the most environmentally friendly vehicle at all, is it? Anyway, hopefully I should be back soon, so make sure you click that subscribe button down there so you don't miss my next video. I'll see you in the next one.